In this week's episode of News You Can Use, we have releases from OpenAI and Freepik and many small studios with brand new AI tools that haven't been available a week ago. As you can see, I'm on the road visiting family back home in Slovakia. But that's not going to stop us from having a look at every single AI tool that came out over the course of the past week. Starting out with OpenAI. And boy oh boy, has this been a bit of a controversy all across the internet. Because we do have a new tool. The ChatGPT Mac App is now available to everybody. And for people who already had it, they shipped a new version. So I call this ChatGPT app a Mac app because it's Mac only for now. Windows has their Copilot Play. And if you're not familiar, you can access this through Options space wherever you are. And here are the new features. They expanded this menu if you click the attach icon. You have multiple options now, like uploading a file, photo, take a screenshots, or take photo. Not all of these were available before, but now I can do something like open up the FaceTime camera, take a photo of myself, and use that as the context for ChatGPT 4o right here. Now, this is still not the big feature that everybody has been waiting for, which is the ability for it to record your screen and to assist you as you work. They announced this now 6 weeks ago, but we still haven't received this yet, just like the voice assistant. And although this is definitely not some news you can use, I gotta briefly talk about the voice assistant, because on Twitter they just shared an update on what's going on with that. In the release they showed off all the incredible capabilities, and they said they will release it in the upcoming weeks. Here we are 6 weeks later, where they effectively admit that this is actually nowhere close to being finished, and that all ChatGPT Plus users will be getting the voice assistant in fall. So this could mean September, but it also could mean November, which is 5 months from now. I mean, what can I say except that this is extremely disappointing and that they clearly miscommunicated and misled a lot of us, if not all of us. I do have to point out that the next upgrade to this Mac app, which will allow you to screen record and work with ChatGPT in tandem, is going to come earlier. This will be rolled out separately. When exactly, they didn't dare to say. So yeah, you have a slightly improved version of this Mac app. I actually like using this. But let me just say, with the competition heating up and products like Claude 3.5 Sonnet smashing GPT-4o on not just benchmarks, but also user experiences in everyday scenarios, and them shipping innovative features like artifacts that we talked about in the separate video last week, I think for many users, it might be the right time to reconsider your subscription if you're not valuing the convenience of the Mac app or something like the GPTs on a regular basis. Again, very disappointing, but now let's move on to the next release, which is actually from Freepik that has been shipping. They released something that has been requested within ChatGPT since the release of the product. They call it Projects. And what this essentially is a workspace for a specific project. You can add context through uploading files to a knowledge base, and you can add even more context through utilizing custom instructions. And all chats that you have within that project are grouped together. So these are conversation folders, something that all ChatGPT Power users have been requesting since day one. It's so easy to lose conversations, often multiple conversations tied together nicely. So here you can absolutely do that. And beyond that, you can also attach a knowledge base. So what does this look like in practice? Here's their demo project where they included a Claude prompting guide in the knowledge base here. And then you can run multiple prompts in here. And as you can see, this is nested within your project. If I go back into the project, you can see this is my brand new chat. And as mentioned, every single one of these is going to be aware of the custom instructions and everything you upload here. How do you create them? Very simple. You just go up here to projects, say create project. I'll name it test2, give it a little description, and it will create a brand new workspace for me where I can set custom instructions, just like we talked about so many times before, and you can upload either text content or files. And if this is a popular project you'll be returning to a lot, you can always star it, which will pin it to the left sidebar here. Honestly, it's great to see a ChatGPT competitor ship features that have been long requested, less than a week after their impressive Claude 3.5 Sonnet release. I'll just tell you on a personal note that me and the team have actually been experimenting with Sonnet a lot, and a lot of members, including me, started preferring it over GPT-4o when it comes to generating code or creating app. And while many use cases are debatable, it's sort of on par with GPT-4o, the code generation is not. If you're doing something with code, just go to Claude 3.5 Sonnet and thank me later. It is head and shoulders above all other LLMs today when it comes to code generation. Matter of fact, there's so many interesting use cases that we're crafting a separate video that will be coming out soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that, because these use cases you could actually be recreating today as opposed to the ones that I presented to you with OpenAI's voice assistant announced 6 weeks ago. The next thing I want to share with you is not an AI tool, but rather a resource that can help you get the most out of some of the tools that I share in these videos. And that is Brilliant, the sponsor of today's video. Brilliant is an online learning platform with thousands of lessons across math, data science, programming, and yes, even AI. The best thing about Brilliant is that they have interactive lessons where you get to participate in the learning process. A lot of people can have a hard time with traditional learning because, let's face it, listening to an hour-long lecture from a stranger in a topic that you have no previous knowledge on isn't exactly exciting. And Brilliant's hands-on approach to learning tackles this exact problem. Let me give you an example. One topic that is quite hard to learn about is quantum computing. Nearly all of the resources online are long lectures or academic papers. Both those are really tricky to consume if you're just getting into the subject matter. And Brilliant has a course called Quantum Computing that teaches you the concepts of solving hard problems using quantum mechanics. And here's the kicker. You actually learn how to build algorithms with a quantum computer simulated in your browser within this course. That's pretty neat, right? So if you want to check out this course and everything else Brilliant has to offer for free, for a full 30 days, head on over to brilliant.org/theAIadvantage or click the link in the description below. Plus, if you decide to stick with it, you'll get 20% off an annual subscription. A big thank you to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to more AI news you can use. All right, moving on. There's a bunch of tiny but very interesting releases. So let's proceed by pointing your attention to Freepik's new retouch tool. And what this essentially is a free version of Photoshop's generative fill. If you're not familiar, Photoshop shipped this incredible feature where you can just select a certain area and then type a prompt to fill in just that area. Very useful, but you do need a Photoshop or Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, which is quite costly. This is the same function, and as of today, it's completely free. All you gotta do is head on over to freepik.com and head on over to one of these AI tools. We'll go directly to the retouch tool, but you can easily navigate between them here in the sidebar. And what I'll be doing here is uploading an image of customer support Igor. There we go. And check it out. All I gotta do is brush over the parts that I want to replace, and I'll prompt something like blue eyes. Let's see how this goes. This is quite a tricky one. And there you go. This actually looks decent. Maybe a bit too intense. Let me adjust it to light blue eyes and you can see it update in real time. Yeah, this is actually better. And there you go. I changed my eye color. This is one of the trickiest operations you can do as there's a lot of nuances to eyes. But I gotta point out the use here is very limited. You can see you only get 2 or 3 retouches, but nevertheless a great alternative to having to buy Photoshop immediately to get the same functionality here. And while we're on the topic of enhancing images, Magnific has released a brand new feature. It's called Relight and it's super interesting. I gotta say this one is quite pricey though, because a Magnific sub starts at 40 euros per month. And I also gotta disclaim that I actually know the founder of this company well, and he even came into the AI Advantage community to speak about his project and how he built and sold the AI startup in under a year, just last week. And also Kavi provided our community members with free Magnific tokens, which was yet another perk of being in the community. Nevertheless, even before knowing him, I was featuring Magnific and telling you how they have the best image upscaler. It's just quite pricey, but that's because their products are effective. Because look at this Relight feature. All I did is upload customer support Igor. Hello, dear YouTube viewer. How can I help you today? And all I did is I prompted sunset, indoor, exotic, and palm trees on top of this image. And I kept all the settings on their default values. And customer support Igor got transported into a more exotic setting.
The coconut nut is a giant nut.
The hands are as bad as the original image, but that's a feature, not a bug. As you can see, it maintains the original subject. It changes the background and changes all of the lighting. Now, obviously, this can be a tricky one to get right sometimes because there's so many things changing. I mean, look at the computer monitor just disappearing and all of a sudden I'm in some exotic destination. This went real quick from customer support Igor to digital nomad Igor. And Matthias from the team actually went ahead and tested a bunch more examples, and he figured out that the cleaner the original subject is, the more reliably this works. Otherwise, you need a little bit of iteration. So as you can see from some of these examples on screen, the results can really be impressive, but it does take some trial and error, especially if you have a concrete vision in mind. So I guess it's the same as using every other AI tool. You need confidence in your taste and you need to be ready to experiment.
You're goddamn right.
Another thing that you can do with this tool is actually bring in light maps and then map the light on top of the image you have, which obviously presents a lot of creative possibilities. It's a great tool to be aware of, and it's one of those that, you know, if you're a full-time photographer, this is one to be seriously afraid of, because you can take simple phone pictures of a person or a product and then just relight them to what you want. No need for professional photo shoots if you like some of these results. All right, next up, we'll be switching gears and talking about Websim.ai. If you haven't seen this yet, this is one of these freaky AI tools where it's less about getting results and more about exploring what's possible and what the future of the internet and technology might look like. Because all you got to do here is type in a URL. I'll just say ainewsyoucanuse.com and I'll send this. That's all you got to do. You invent a URL and it builds the entire website for you. This uses Claude 3.5 Sonnet in background, but also there's obviously extra steps to this application, as it usually also generates the images for you and does extra steps like making the website actually functional. Look at that. We just got a mock website for AI News You Can Use that you can browse right now. And this is generated in real time. And if you click any of these links, it will regenerate a brand new website as you browse through it. This is not loading the page, it's creating it. it. Obviously, everything on here is just invented from thin air. Look at these different subpoints appear as I scroll down. So this is absolutely fascinating to think about and to discuss. I strongly recommend you go check it out. At the time of this recording, this is completely free. Just type in a URL and you get a website. And this just opens up this entire conversation of, is this what the internet is going to look like one day? Is this what YouTube is going to look like one day? Are all the videos going to be generated on demand, depending on your custom requests, knowledge level, and browsing history? If a piece of information was covered in a video that you've seen yesterday, no need for it to be included in the YouTube video that you're watching today, right? So while this one might not be useful, you can use it today. And it shows a glimpse of the feature, which for me is an easy feature on this show, as everybody watching this channel seems to be a bit more forward-looking than the average person. All right, on to the next one, and this one is very simple. I actually wanted to give this a shot myself, but as I'm traveling, I didn't have the time to actually dive into this tool, but this one looks so interesting. Look at that. It's a ComfUI workflow that takes Google Maps imagery and then recreates that with Stable Diffusion. So you can effectively pan around Google Street View, as you can see right here, and it recreates every single image with Stable Diffusion in an anime style for you. So if you ever wanted to turn your local city, street, or one of your favorite destinations worldwide into an anime, well, here's a ComfUI workflow that you can do it with. Link to this Reddit post is in the description below. And now let's move on to the next one, which is our team that is actually full of Star Wars fans messing around with Midjourney and adapting our images to Star Wars. In the wake of Disney ruining the Star Wars franchise with their political agendas that they're infusing into the new episodes, we just used AI tools to do something completely different. And we reimagined all team members in a Star Wars setting, always imagining their light side and their dark side, and turning that into a little Meet the Team trailer. Here's a short preview. I'll include a link to the full thing in the description below. Okay, next up, a complete mood switch, because this is a chatbot that has been trained upon a lot of knowledge surrounding cybersecurity. So if you're like me and you don't know much about cybersecurity, this could just be helpful, and at the very least, this is super interesting. Few things hidden here that you might care about. One of them is this domain analysis. Look at that. If you click the domain button, I could just insert the Facebook URL here and run this, and it will go ahead and give me a full overview of the Facebook domain and everything that I need to know about it. When is it registered? When is it expiring? It extracts the contact information of the website if it's not present on the website. It shows the SSL certificates, any malware associations. For somebody who doesn't know much about these topics, a very interesting and quite deep way to explore the internet here. Also, I should point out, if you look at one of these adversary groups, you can educate yourself on all various attack techniques they have. And this is just the sort of information you don't run into on an everyday basis. You only get a few messages as indicated by this little bolt on the bottom right, so be wary of that. But both me and the team thoroughly enjoyed looking at some of these results here. This is not information that you will just run into on an everyday basis, and a chatbot interface like this makes it really easy to explore. Look at that. There's all the attack tactics and techniques, which I won't be featuring here. You'll just have to explore this one by yourself. All right, next up, we have a music production AI that came out, and this one is a little different than the other ones like Stable Audio that we featured before. It's called Co-Producer, and what it does is simply explain. It generates a track and gives you the full mix and all the stems. And what I found interesting here is that they introduced a pack generation feature. So you might know this, but a lot of music production is based on them downloading various packs from the internet and then using assets from that to create new tracks. Not all sounds in the music you hear are original and just generated from scratch. A lot of them are presets, and this allows you to create a lot of those presets for yourself. It does require subscription, as a lot of these more professional tools do. But there you go. If you're a music producer, another tool to consider. Okay, and lastly, this will be a super quick one. If you're using Midjourney, there's this SREF feature, and there's this brand new website where you have a catalog of different SREF styles. So if you ever wanted to discover new styles for yourself to use, this is a great and free resource to browse that. But I should also note that already 3 weeks ago in the community, we did the exact same thing, just in a different format. We created various PDFs that you can download that show you all the different styles. We just always included 4 generations instead of 1, but this is behind a paid wall, and srefhunter.top is completely free. Great resource for any Midjourney users out there. And that's it for today. I hope you're enjoying your summer. There's probably going to be less releases over the next few months. And if there's less new releases, we'll simply go deeper into the things that did release. All right, see you next week.